Hello and welcome to what would appear to be a stream of some kind. I hadn't even realised it had been that long since the last one, but yeah, it's been a little while. I've also been sort of over the last couple of months not really playing that much World of Warships. I've been not playing that much in terms of multiplayer online games generally, so that's not particularly conducive to streaming either. But we've got the second round of Soviet battleships and I'm trying to get a bit more back into the swing of things, so that's basically what I'm going to be playing for this stream, with the obligatory work in progress thing on the screen, the logo. Yes, that was SimCity 3000 that particular piece of music was from. The SimCity games, generally speaking, have had pretty good soundtracks over the years. I can't speak as to the recent one, the one that nobody speaks of as being a true SimCity game, but it might still have had a good soundtrack, I don't know. But 3000, SimCity 4, even SimCity 2000 had a pretty good soundtrack for the day, even though it was all MIDI music. So, yeah. So, Soviet battleships, well, Russian and Soviet battleships, some of them are Imperial Navy era. You can kind of generally tell by the flags. If it's the ensign of the Imperial Navy, then it's going to be one of those. And then I think from tier 5, yeah, from tier 5 upwards, we start to get to the proper Soviet ones. Well, we're going to play the low tier ones to start with, because I haven't actually played some of these yet. I've played, I think, about half of them. I have played, let's see, tier 6, tier 7. I played the Lenin, which we don't have at the moment, which is going to be the premium tier 8 battleship. I don't think I've played the tier 9, but I have played the tier 10. In fact, I've played the tier 10 probably most of all. But we're going to start off with the tier 3 and see what goes on. And I'm also going to check what captain this is. Is this the right captain? This is a Budioni captain. Why is this a Budioni captain I have here? I don't know. I think that might not be the right captain. I think we probably want this captain. I don't have any super duper skilled captains for these, but that's fine for testing purposes. Not everybody's going to be sailing around in these with a tier 19 captain, a 19-point captain. I know what I mean. So yeah, let's jump into battle, see how it goes. I don't know if I'm going to be super amazing in terms of actually playing the game, but we might get some flavour of what these ships are about. They did lose the deep water radar. I mean, if you've been paying attention, then you probably already know that. But the other main features of them are still there. The limited damage control party and the rather different accuracy profile, which means that at longer ranges they are horribly blad, yes. But at close-up they are a lot better, almost cruiser-like in their accuracy. Brett 50 with the 9-month sub. I am honestly surprised I have any subs left at all, considering the length of time since the last stream. So this is the tier 3 and it's a double carrier game, unsurprisingly. It's got some AA to work with, but probably not a lot. Good old Solomon Islands. Guess we know what we're doing here. It's also got a slightly longer reload. Most of these ships do have a couple of seconds over the 30-second standard reload. This is a very odd kind of offset turret design, but a lot of the early dreadnought types had sometimes a bit of a strange setup in terms of their turrets. Right, for what it's worth, we'll sector the AA. It's not particularly good AA. "26th September, it's not been that long. Or is that the last time you were in a... That's the last time you turned up for a stream? I don't know. The number 3 and 4 turrets can fully traverse to... Okay. I mean, yeah, you can get a full broadside. It's maybe going to take a really long time to traverse the turrets. The armor on these... Oh, the last VOD. Yeah, the VODs expire. Selfish fish. I don't make that many highlights out of my VODs, so the last actual stream was a month and a half ago, something like that. It's not quite as bad as September of last year, but it's still fairly bad.
Jedi.
Gakuchu with the sub, thank you very much. Oh, yep. R.I.P. Wix. That Wix is screwed. A little bit. That mid turret is going to take quite a long time to come around, sadly. I'm not entirely sure what this Valkyrie is doing in terms of smoke laying, however. But I'm not going to complain. I mean, they've just put a big smoke across their own, across that cap, which I don't know if that's meant to help out some allies. Which is not the kind of behaviour you typically see in this tier, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. Also, that is some planes incoming, so let's be careful of that. I think I can wield the Kaiser. No, Bellerophon. Well, I've not noticed these being super duper accurate, but no, there we go. six over pens. 6 over pens. Okay. Right, this is quite a lot of enemy ships up here. There's a V-170. So we can't do a bad thing to this Karlsruhe. Who is... Oh, no, they've disappeared. I'm trying to... Is that the CC camo? It might be. I'm just trying to figure out if I knew that name or not. Right, this is a lot of enemy ships. I have to stage a tactical retreat. By tactical retreat, I mean run away! These turrets are going to take a while to come round, though. I think we'll still have the rear turrets available. That bit of superstructure on the rear is going to limit the firing ability of that... what is that? The number 4 turret. That's a bit of an odd one. Also, let's get the AA switched around. No, it's the Type 59 camo. That's what it is. I thought it looked familiar. That's not the CC camo at all.
So be it. Jedi.
Mental with the resub, 16 months. Thank you very much. And not. I'm maybe being a bit overly cautious. They seem to mostly be firing HE. Let's go for the already damaged Bellerophon, I guess. Only being targeted by one person at the moment. Oh, that was way off. Oh, I don't think I was actually locked on there, which doesn't help. Right, 7.5 km. This is actually, you know, the lower tiers is maybe the best place for this kind of style of ship, this short range, high accuracy, long range, low accuracy, because you're not really going to get long range engagements at the low tiers on most of the maps. Couldn't get away with this kind of engagement where there's multiple enemy battleships within 10 kilometers and you're just sailing along broadside, more or less. Because they're all concentrating on things that are closer than I am. Somebody's aiming at me, but not particularly taking lots of shots. I'll finish off this Bellerophon. Nope, somebody else beat me to the punch. I guess we should try and hit this V170 next. It's an awkward situation because my turrets are now completely out of sync. I can't really switch to HE without wasting a lot of reload time. Let's finish off the Karlsruhe if we can. Also, our Langley is, you know, not really making any attempt to move whatsoever, and also everybody else has died, so I suspect my free ride of not getting shot at is not going to last too much longer. But this is really about testing these ships. I'm not too fussed about them. And the Gerd must win. Must have Unica win rate. As if that was a thing I could ever manage. Well, I'm not feeling like I'm getting some of the shots I was getting at the higher tiers, but for a lower tier battleship, this feels pretty accurate because I'm fighting at this closer range. Right, is he going to eat a torp? I'm going to be cheeky and see if we can't ninja this kill anyway. There we go. Right, some rocket hits, not really fussed about that. Start having a pop of this Nassau. Yeah, hi. Hi, Destroyer. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a battleship right next to you. That's been right next to you for, oh, I don't know, a good 30 or 40 seconds. Our Langley still hasn't moved. It's fine. I should maybe be trying to hit that V170 actually, but I don't know. I've also got multiple battleships firing at me, or at least in range of me. Yeah, I suppose I should try and hit the V170. I mean, that Langley was always going to die. There was no saving them. Haven't started moving by that point, then yeah, with the best will in the world, it's not a lot any player could do. Go on, finishing Farah. Angle enough. Can I get this turret? There we go. Oh, never mind, Farah got him. There's a Clemson. Wary about that. Actually, I'm going to queue up some HE shells. Yep, hi Clemson, I know you're there. There's also some planes, but there's not a lot I can do about that. We're already sectored in that direction anyway. Not entirely sure what this Kaiser is up to. You going to try it, Clemson? You feeling lucky, punk? Yep, the answer is yes. Come on, blah 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 blah. That was alright, but not going to be enough to potentially avoid torps. Planes coming from multiple angles, right? He's not trying to press the attack. Not really a lot I can do to dodge the planes. Clemson's definitely the higher priority. If I do get a flood, it's not going to be particularly dangerous. It'll be more of a problem if it took out my engine. Also, I think we can see exactly the value of the AA. We haven't shot down anything. Oh god, that's a Nikolai. Go on, Clemson. Do it. Do it. What are you waiting for? I don't think our Kaiser is going to be that much help somehow. Come on. Go on, Clemson. I kind of need this Clemson to come round the corner and so I can blap them again. I'm actually going to give a compliment to our Farah Ruang. They're actually doing alright, helping out. No, we're going to have to deal with the Nikolai. Which means ignoring the Clemson. I might take well and try and take advantage of that. You do get one less heal than is standard with these ships, generally. Let's go to B. Clemson having a pop at me. There's literally nothing I can do about the carriers planes. You're not fast enough to dodge, you're not maneuverable enough to dodge. It's a big, slow, fat battleship with really not a lot of AA. Even a fighter consumable available for the carriers to help them. So, yeah, I'm basically now going to die to the carriers. There's not a lot I can do about that. But I think my 71k damage is not completely terrible. It's almost... I mean, we can try sectoring again, but with battleships especially, I found it's almost not worth sectoring sometimes, because the time it takes to change from side to side is basically like they've already flown over to the other side of the ship by the time you've sectored. So there's not a lot you can do about it. Ouch! 5,000 damage. Very ouch. At some point, we might even shoot down a plane, but I don't even know if I've got... No, half of my AA is already dead, so... Yeah. I'm very unlikely to cap. I mean, I don't think we're going to win this one somehow. But, you never know. We might pop round the corner and spy a carrier that I can blap. But I suspect I will die to the carriers before I get that close. Half of 0.1, I mean, might as well be that, I don't know. Alright, one of the carriers is to the north, I don't know where the other one is. I can get close enough to the island maybe that it thwarts this drop, but... I mean, I've now got planes coming from both sides, so actually it makes no sense to sector. But we actually capped. Thinking they might try and send some bombers to disrupt it. Oh well, it's a bit more XP, I suppose. Can't do much for that Langley either. Basically, I mean, you know, I'm just on my last legs at this point. With both the carriers throwing their full waves of attack against me and no effective AA. That's basically that. But the cap will give me a little bit more XP. Oh well. Man, them Langley dive bombers are pretty damn effective, apparently. So yeah, the guns felt okay. I mean, it was mostly a short-range engagement, but I think with it being double carriers all round at tier 4 a lot of the time at the moment, the lack of effective AA is not great. But it's not unique in that regard. I think all the tier 3 battleships are suffering unduly at the moment. I don't know if the thing is to then give them some slightly more effective AA. But otherwise, you know, they're a bit of a painful process. So let's go to the tier 4, the Gangut. I've got most of these set up. We might have to set up one or two of them. I mean, the damage, I've had better damage games in a tier 3, but if you're getting that kind of damage consistently out of it, yeah, that's not half bad. And bearing in mind, of course, people are much more likely to just sail along broadside at this sort of tier. So let's grab a container. And because I'm streaming, I don't normally do these, but because I'm streaming, let's see if we feel lucky, which we don't. Bit of free XP, that's fine. Right, Gangut tier 4. I don't know if this has. Again, I made it so you need to look at the captain to look at the ship parameters, and it's a bit weird. The AA defense isn't much better on this. I don't think it's great on the. I think it might be effectively the same. 75mm AA guns. This is 63.3 and some 7.62, but no, that's the Nikolai. I'm looking at the wrong one. 75mm plus some 7.62. So some machine guns. Cannet naval gun. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, it's going to be about as effective or ineffective rather. What's our flooding? Doodad, 9% flooding protection. Of course, that matters a little bit less these days. Almost certainly going to be at least one carrier, if not double carriers again. Yep, there it is, double carriers. And a tier 5 game, so we'll see how we do. Give them barrage balloons. I mean, it'd be about as effective, if not more so, than what it has at the moment. Guess we'll just see if we can live long enough to actually get to do anything. It's rather worse air detectability as well, not that it really matters. Right, so this is the much more familiar Nikolai loadout, although it's not quite the same as the Nikolai. But 12 guns is a pretty decent broadside at the tier. Hug the Texas. I don't know if it'll make that much difference, to be honest. And also the Texas is unfortunately all the way over here. I don't know if you'd strictly call this a flush deck design, but the turrets are all on the same level compared to the Nikolai. I definitely want to try and be near somebody in terms of having extra AA protection. Yeah, I don't think the poop deck is a thing outside of sailing ships. I don't know what you call the what you would call the. I mean, this would presumably just be the foredeck and the aft deck. Although I don't actually know what you call this lowered bit at the back. Well, same utterly ineffective AA fire. To the shock and surprise of nobody. That for attack, that might not have been enough lead, but they don't seem to be going very fast. That's probably a bit too close, or you know, not enough thingy. I know what I mean. Maybe. Oh, no, he's not continued the turn, he's actually not. You do tend to see that if you, I suspect, I mean, this is going to be the downside of this line. I suspect you're going to see people who try and just only ever use them at their best possible range, which in this case is not that 13.5 kilometers. It's not that good, but it's going to be the whole line is basically going to be ineffective at their maximum ranges. I guess I just have to turn about. Oh, I might get shot in the Kirov actually. Whether I'll actually hit the Kirov is a different matter, of course. You tend to get quite a spread on the shells. Yep, 1 penetration. The horizontal accuracy seems to be particularly bad. Or do I mean the vertical accuracy? I think I mean the vertical accuracy. Is my detectability longer than my firing range? I'm on fire at the moment. Oh no, you're right. After firing a main gun shell, 14.1, and my max range is 13.5. I think I've got the... Oh, well done, Kaiser. I think I've got the upgraded range on, but we'll have to check that after the... Hopefully I've not derped and left this with just its stock range. Okay, hands up who recognises quite how appropriate it is that we have somebody called the USS William D. Porter who is pink. That is magnificent. That is so appropriate. That is the most appropriate thing I've seen in this game in, I don't know, weeks and weeks. Just it's the most fitting thing ever. What's the Hermes doing? Well, I think they were trying to reposition, but I don't know why they came that far forward necessarily to do it. The William D. Porter, aka the US destroyer that nearly sank President Roosevelt. I can't remember which battleship it was. It was the Iowa, maybe? It was when they were going to the Yalta conference. And, yeah, the William D. Porter caused all kinds of interesting... I don't know if Drakfinel's done a thing on it, but there was a cracked article from a long time ago about it, which sums it up in a not terribly serious fashion. So yeah, it is incredibly appropriate that the William D. Porter is pink, for team damage. Right, this is a bit of a hot spot, but the destroyers have been cleared out to some extent, so... God, this turret traverse isn't particularly fast. But because you've got 2 facing fore and 2 facing aft, you've at least got... Whatever you're kind of manoeuvring, you've got 2 turrets available relatively quickly. But the other 2 take a while. Right, it's a broadside Haruna after we fired, naturally. I really wish this Kaiser would press in with me, but on the other hand... No, they seem to be going kind of randomly towards the middle. On the other hand, the fact that they managed to get team damage warnings for shooting our carrier, not once but twice, does not betoken them as maybe being the best ally to have close by. Gotta be careful about the Texas, it's definitely more potent an opponent than the New York. I don't know where this Kaiser's going. Right. You've got to give quite a lot of broadside to get all your turrets firing. Another 5k. That's not bad. I really do have to check if this is the stock range or the upgraded range, because if it's the upgraded range, it's pretty awful. Screw it, I might as well just charge in.
So be it.
Come about.
Jedi.
Mawo with the 6 months. Thank you very much. Are we really about to cap this? When they have a carrier that's still very much alive and kicking. Yeah, I think we might have to play this one again. What was that game? I don't know. I don't know. Welcome to Tier 4. Let's try that again. Yeah, I think that might be the top range then, 13.5 kilometers. That's pretty bad. What was the Tier 3? Oh, I can't actually look because we don't have the commander. Right, yes, 13.5. That is the upgraded. 12.6, so that's only an extra kilometre. This one's not set up yet, but we get the modules for free. 16 kilometres, so that's a pretty big jump from Tier 4 to Tier 5. So how does that compare to the Nikolai? I seem to remember the Nikolai being at least 14. 14.1. So yeah, that's a pretty bad range for a Tier 4 battleship. I mean, I can't even remember offhand what the other ones are, but let's maybe see if we can't quickly double check that. I've got at least some of them. Yogi is an outlier. Ishizushi... is 15.3. Arkansas is 14.4. Nikolai's 14.1. Kaiser is 16. And the Orion is 16.7. So that is by far and away the worst Tier 4 battleship. It's a good 600 meters worse than the Nikolai. When it's worse than the Ishizushi, you know it's bad. I guess. Oh, the French tier 4. I don't actually have that one. I'd have to check that. Which means waiting for the UI to respond. I think that might be in part the port that I'm using, which is an older port. Corbe has 17.4, which is actually really good. Although whether or not you can actually hit anything at 17.4 is an entirely different matter. Anyway, let's try that again. I've never actually played the French tier 3 and tier 4, or at least not since the testing of them. I think I free XP'd to tier 5, which isn't that good. In fact, I would go so far as to say it's fairly terrible. Oh, I hope this isn't a double carrier game. Fingers crossed. I had a game in the, what's the tier 6, the Ismail, where it was a tier 8 game and the tier 8 carrier basically spent the entire first part of the battle sending their planes after me. There wasn't a huge amount I could do about it because I'd spawned on one of the flanks, and by the time I'd caught up with the team, I was down to about 40% hit points. Not just from the carrier's attacks, I was being shot at by the enemy team as well, but yeah, it's not nice when a carrier decides to exclusively focus you. Right, top tier though, but also double CVs. And it's not like I'm going to have a lot of allied AA to rely on. Hey, Finsand. I think at the moment, if I was playing low tiers by choice, it wouldn't be Battleships. It would probably be something where I could actually have a chance of dodging air attacks. Because the low tier Battleships, not so much. And there's not a lot you can do to buff the not particularly good AA. If I had a higher skill captain, it might make a little bit of difference, but wouldn't make that much. AFT and BFT might mean that I shoot down a few planes versus shooting down no planes at all. Right, probably coming for me. Let's turn into that. Where's the upside of... what is it they've got? Hermes and a Hosho. The Hermes only has the single torps, so they're a little easier to dodge. Although it then gets annoying with, well, okay, you're dodging all the torps, but you're not actually getting to where you want to go. Well, it was smoking. Oh, there we go. First plane we've shot down. What's with the octopus logo? This is a mod that Clyde pointed out, which is quite handy, which lets you look at your captain skills in-game. There are a couple of mods that I actually haven't checked today if Aslane's been updated, but there's a couple of mods that are missing. Smoke timer mod being the main one. I mean, you know, you get the default smoke timer, but I just prefer the smoke timer mod counter. You don't have a huge amount of superstructure on this one, so that's going to count in your favour, just like the Nikolai. Let's try a bit of a guess shot. Oh. We could really do with the cap. Well, Kohlberg's pretty beat up. Here he's firing HE, which is fine. Yeah, the Hermes is a newer player. That game in the tier 3, the Langleys definitely knew much better what they were doing, but it certainly didn't hurt their chances that I was in a ship that A, couldn't shoot down their planes, or B, really dodge very effectively. Right, it looks like the enemy team is not here, which isn't great. But we really do need the cap. Well, at the point where this has become apparent is it's much too late to then just turn around and get up there in time to save the Nassau with a back attack, eh? But at least it wasn't huge numbers of our team that went up there. This range is going to be painful though. 13.5 kilometers is not good. I was actually they've given us the Azuma for the purposes of, you know, I think they've just given it to us, but so we can test it out and see how it is. You really trying to drop on land? Yeah, that doesn't work. I think this Hermes might well be inward. Yogi's going to be a problem because they're just going to be able to be completely out of my range with no difficulty whatsoever. At least I can give a broadside without having to worry about it. Turn hard in. Did take that. Just instantly take care of that flooding. Too much. The main problem with taking any torpedo damage is that it's heavy damage, so it limits the health that you can... No! The health that you can repair. Well, he's learning. Yeah, they're kind of interesting, these ships. They're a bit... They're strong yet fragile. The armor on them is generally very good. Their ability to deal damage is generally quite good. But you've got a limited number of heals. You've actually got one less heal than regular ships. And you've only got the limited number of damage control parties as well. We're just going to let that fire burn. So you actually end up, I think, well, at least I've been putting out fires more often than I would in other ships, just because I can't afford to lose the hit points, because I don't have that one extra heal that I could have in other ships. Well, there's the Hermes. So yeah, it's kind of slightly weird combination of characteristics overall. Maybe the tier 10? I can't actually remember offhand what the armor profiles are like, to be honest. Yep, I see torpedo planes. Otherwise you can... Slow shot. Avoid the first one without too much difficulty, but then... Well, this is putting me rather pleasantly broadside. Right, it might be the Hosho rather than the Hermes that I dodged to begin with. So both single drops either way. Yeah, this Hosho is not seal clubbing. I think we can definitively say that. Not too worried about the Hosho. There's definitely a Wakataki still around up here somewhere though. Let's try to be slightly wary of that. Yep, and there we go. Speaking of Wakatakis. Let's try and get as many guns around as we can. Just if I'm going to switch to HE, I might as well get the benefit of all my barrels. Let's actually put that flyer out. Switch the sector in as well for as much difference as it will make. Down. Interestingly, the Charleston's actually firing AP at me. Oh, might take one of these. All the fancy dodging I've done. Oh, and there's the Hosho. Inside Charleston. I think it's actually easier to turn my ship than it is to turn my turrets right now. Oh! Well, what do you know? Look, I hope I can beat the torp reload. Guess we'll find out. Oh, I have the HE queued up, never mind. Right, there's the torps actually, we can turn back. This is entirely because those battleships are bidding around me, which is fine. I think we'll just stick with the HE. The Hosho's thinly armoured enough that I don't have to worry too much. 2 heals left as well. Might take one of these. I probably should be withdrawing, to be honest, but you know. Eh. Oh, that was actually too close, fortunately for me. The main danger is, of course, the back attack A being a low tier destroyer gets a fairly quick torp reload. As long as I'm moving unpredictably. Burning is actually quite good for me in terms of... Oh, he's doing his best to dodge that. He's dodging me, he's not dropping torps. Ah, maybe I should just be shooting this carrier. Because it'd be one less thing to be dealing with. I probably should have prioritised the carrier. This might actually be one of those times when shooting the carrier would have been the smarter thing to do. Just because then I'm not having to dodge all these attacks constantly. All over pens. We'll try to let that fire out. I think we are winning this one. I think. Nice to have a little more team support here, but never mind. Nope. More overpens. Turrets are nearly round though. Actually take one of these because I had to dodge to slow down. Slow down to dodge. You know what I mean. Now, I might actually die here. That's a bit unfortunate. Come on, turrets. Can't at least kill that carrier for our troubles. I really should have focused the carrier earlier. But what can you do? Oh, there we go. We won. I sunk a plane. I mean, I didn't have the enemy battleships firing at me, which was a bonus. But I think I was getting a bit, you know, concentrating on the wrong things there. Still, though, for all those air attacks, that was... not too bad. 68,000. Top of the team. Would have died in the very near future. But, you know. I lived, which was obviously entirely according to plan. So yeah, I'm not overly impressed with that. 13.5 kilometer range is pretty bad. You will basically get outranged by all of the tier 4s and tier 5s that you meet. In fact, some of the cruisers at tier 4 beat that in terms of range. So this one might be a bit of a rough spot. This one might be quite painful to play if it's left as is. Right, Piotr Veliki. I'm going to need to set this one up a bit. Make sure we've got everything. I think it is just the tier 5 and the tier 9 I don't have set up, so this shouldn't take too long. No, That's not the one we want. I'm almost tempted to say let's go with the AA guns. Just because, you know, double carries are probably going to be a thing we'll meet.
Your business is appreciated.
Ship parameters. AA defense is now up to 35 with a bunch of extra machine guns and some 100mm guns, which might actually not be terrible. Thank you for the follow. I missed who that was, but thank you very much. So what else? Just the usual standard damage control things. And actually maybe we should go for... I don't know how vulnerable these turrets are, but let's go for auxiliary armaments. See if we can't stretch out our AA guns' useful lifespan a bit. Definitely the AA flag. I don't know why they've made it so you have to look at the captain to look at the... Is it worth having a secondaries flag 4.5 kilometers? Maybe. Yeah, let's stick on a secondary flag. Why not? And just because we can, we'll put on a flooding flag as well. Those are actually a bit more useful these days. The change to flooding. Oh, and also camo. We need camo. It's a pity there isn't some appropriately red themed camo. I mean, there's a Valentine's Day camo. There's Team Fire. But we don't have any kind of Soviet themed camos really. So we'll just go with the standard. So we don't particularly need any XP bonuses or anything like that. So I think I've got everything. Oh yeah, the UI is definitely improved, but it's not super good. Still not great. My plan, by the way, is I think I'm just going to play through till we get to the tier 10, maybe do a couple of games in the tier 10, and then I'll call the stream there. It's not going to be a super long stream. That is a lot of destroyers. 5 per team. Okay. No carriers, though. But also there might be a good chance for some close-range battleship action. Yeah, some of the something similar to the if you could get the Edinburgh's and the Scharnhorst's winter camos for some of them, that would feel appropriate. Although I don't think Vladivostok gets that cold, but Murmansk and Archangelisk certainly. So we now have a much more reasonable range, but it's still lagging behind a bit, 16 kilometers. I think we'll head over to the west. We don't have any other battleships going this way. Now Congo hasn't actually woken up yet. So, we'll see. Well, the Courbet might be coming this way as well. I actually have a worse range than the Courbet! Oh boy, anyway. I mean, I get why they've given them shorter ranges. Because of this accuracy profile, they don't want people to be running around firing at 18, 19, 20 kilometers. Because you just won't be effective. But at tier 4, man, that is quite limiting. When you can get hit by every other battleship and some other cruisers and you can't do squat in return. And it's not like it's a super fast ship. It's not like it can close the distance extremely rapidly. Well, Warspite, yeah, 16 is doable on Warspite, but with Warspite you get the spotter plane. I don't think you get a plane, I don't think you get catapult until, is it tier 6 or tier 7? I think it might be tier 7. And even then it's, I think, only a fighter. But I might be wrong about that, I'll have to double check. So yeah, 16, no, I'm more fine with 16 at tier 5 than I am with 13.5 at tier 4. It's a pretty sharp upgrade. Now the question is this Wakeful maybe going to try a sneaky ambush? Oh, there's a Minikaze, that's probably what spotted me. Let's queue up some HE shells.
Торпеды по правому борту.
See if he feels like chancing it. Yep, there he is. Oof. Big oof. Oh well, let's turn hard in. This is going to be a slightly odd game. Lots and lots of torpedo beats. This is where having vigilance as a captain's skill would be quite useful. So I'm going to have to get a lot closer to hit that Iron Duke. Where's the Minikaze? Suki in the Wakeful, okay. Next has got Hydro, so they're in a decent position to deal with that. I like how our destroyers are just like, nope, it's fine, you can fend for yourselves. Just dashing towards the enemy cap. Screening? What's that? Right, these are only twin turrets, but the angles are, I think, better than the previous ship.
Вражеский эсминец уничтожен.
Yeah, our destroyers have just been like, nah, it's fine, you can fend for yourselves. Which is not working out so well. Might need to actually just turn back at this point. Charging through the middle is just going to get me shot at by everything. And our remaining destroyers are... I don't know what our remaining destroyers are doing. I really don't. I really, really don't. We've got a Mutsuki that's maybe coming back, or maybe just trying to... Oh, I can't even... I'm not going to make that turn. I'm going to have to go around the outside of this island, which is slightly annoying. Yeah, the Mutsuki, I think, might just be going for the Iron Duke rather than genuinely trying to come back. And on the other hand, we might have our destroyers just go in the cap and cap out from underneath them. This might be another weird game. But it sure would have been nice if at least one of them had stuck around to help screen. Being totally sarcastic at this point. No one likes a smart ass, says the guy that started it. This is such a weird game. I'm going to switch back to WiP shells. I've done 357 damage. Half our team is dead. And we might win by capping. Who knows? I think this is one we're going to have to do again. This is just weird. I'm not sure I like this twin turret design. The speed's pretty good. The actual turret, the twin turrets and the layout is kind of, I don't know, slightly awkward. Right, there goes the only person that had any cap points, so now we're just going to win by capping. Well, I've won with 357 damage. What a weird-ass game. If those destroyers had stuck around and actually tried to screen and do things, we wouldn't have needed to be in a position to cap, but oh well. I don't even want to look at the team scores on that one. Well, this time tier 6 game with a carrier. Still not terrible matchmaking. To put it into context, a tank with a battleship, the only tank that's ever been designed with a battleship gun is the Land Cruiser P1000 Rat, which used 15-inch naval guns as its primary battery. You'd be talking a stupidly big tank. Of course, that was an actual, like, naval turret. Even just one 15-inch gun would still be a stupidly big tank.
Разумеется.
Oh, good. Standard game. Okay. I think we'll actually only go half speed until we get some people catching up going this way as well. Don't want to be all the way out there on my own, which would not be a smart plan. Oh, the Gustav would be like that's actually bigger than battleship-sized artillery. But you know, I suppose not quite that scale, but still pretty big. This is an unpleasant looking blob considering that this is a standard game. And we already know there's a bunch of enemy ships on the other side. Sort of hoping this Graf Spee just steams around the corner, but they know I'm there and they know I'm pointing my guns that way. Okay, HE firing new mechs. A horrid feeling the Fubuki's just coming up the middle, so I'm going to be wary of that. I don't know if that was too far forwards. If that was too much lead. He's giving a nice broadside, but the chances of landing a nice hit at this range with these guns. Of course, it could have been just enough lead, but horrible dispersion. Unlikely, but you never know. I might be able to land a hit on the Graf Spee.
Торпеды за кормой.
Yeah, there's the Fubuki.
Торпеды за кормой. Торпеды за кормой.
So our new mech's just AFK. Maybe? Guns are turned a bit. No, they're actually steaming backwards. I don't know what this new mech is doing. Oh. Here come the aeroplanes! Well, near enough to the buy-in that we might get some benefit of AA. Oh, there we go. Our carrier's actually paying attention, which is nice. There's the Fubuki. turning. That T-22 is within talk range. So now can't get my turrets around to do anything about them, but never mind. Right, I'm hoping that torpedo runs out. Yep, there's the T-22 torps.
Торпеды справа по борту.
But I'd rather take an airdropped torp than the alternative. Hey, there's the Fubuki.
Торпеды прямо по курсу.
Now that one hurt.
Большая пробоина. Быстро набираем воду.
This Meg is out in New Mexico, dude. Who knows?
Неполадки устранены.
Boom! Right, that's useful.
Уничтожен.
I think we're going to give that a new exit report. That's just inexcusably bad. No, it doesn't really do anything, but...
Пожарная тревога.
Наша команда получила преимущество.
Торпеды по правому борту.
I don't know what this team's doing especially. They're trying to push on the enemy base. There's a lot of them there, but we are ahead on ships, so it might work out. Let's kill that. We can't afford to lose the hit points, really.
Неполадки устранены.
How are the Soviet boats? If you get close enough, they are very dangerous, but that makes them very situational because a lot of the time you can't get close enough. And a lot depends on your teammates and what the enemy team is doing, and also the map, mode. So there are going to be situations where they seem like they're super OP, but that's not going to happen very often. If you try to engage one at close range in a cruiser, then it's going to hurt. Well, that's the destroyer threat taken care of. How's my AA doing? Actually not bad.
Пожарная тревога.
We're just going to ignore the graph spade. That's less important right now.
Линкор противника уничтожен.
Actually, it's probably quicker to turn around this way rather than go around the island. They're going to be super risky to try and torpedo rush in either a destroyer or a cruiser. Don't think that's going to be a recommended thing to do against them at all. But if you're not close range, then they're going to have a really hard time hitting you. I mean, I've got 3 kills, but I've only got 23,000 damage. I'm almost tempted to do another game in this, but I don't know. Times are pressing on, I suppose. Secondaries aren't that good. Mostly short range. Not huge numbers of them. I don't think the caliber is anything special. You can't secondary spec them like the French or Germans anyway. that Bayern's taking all the carrier attention at the moment. It's not so good for them. But we're pretty comfortably winning this.
Наша команда близка к победе.
So yeah, they're an interesting line. But I don't know what it's going to be like once they're out in the wild, as it were.
Your business is appreciated.
Thank you for the follow. I could just about make that name out. Wimidos? That's probably wrong. The preview window is a little too small to actually comfortably read. Guess let's put the turrets on that. Oh, that's hardly even worth it. There's nothing left that isn't. This has been a strange game. The last couple of games have all been strange, though, so it's not out of the ordinary in that it's strange. If that makes any sense. No, a bit more lead. I'm not sure why the Molotov isn't just charging into that Omaha. Can quite easily tear them apart with those guns. The vertical dispersion is pretty bad. There we go.
Крейсер врага потоплен.
I don't know. Neither of those feels like a proper game. I don't really know what these guns are capable of, but let's move on to tier 6. Is it 14-inch guns? Let me just check. By clicking on the captain, because of course. Makes all the sense that you would do. Yes, 356mm, so 14-inch guns. You do have a whole bunch of 130mm secondaries. But the range isn't anything special. And the reload is pretty bad. 12-second reload for a 130mm gun. You would not spec into secondaries on this. 12 seconds is pretty damn bad. Now let me just double check what modules I put on this. Right, this was AA guns. Bear in mind, I think most of these I've been trying with the AA rather than the accuracy, because the accuracy gets that much better when you get closer. Okay, the tier 8 I've put on aiming systems mod, and I think I might have done for the tier 10 as well. So I might also do that for tier 9. Anyway, the Ismail, or Ismail. I don't know exactly how one pronounces that, but let's give it a go. I don't have any super good Soviet captains, Lupin Remus. And they took away our special test captains because they were having a weird duplication issue with them. At least I think they did. I'll double check that after this game. I've got a 19-point Soviet captain on my NA account because I've actually played up to the Moskva on my NA account, but I haven't really played Soviet ships so much on the EU account. So I don't have any particularly good captains for this line. Right, I wasn't even paying attention to the matchmaking there. Tier 8 game, no carriers. We'll see how this goes. Going to go through mid. Well, that's encouraging. When that's possibly half our destroyers. I mean, they don't have any radar, I suppose, but they do have 2 German hydros. So I don't know. So this is, again, very much looks like the kind of, based on the Imperial Russian battleship design philosophy. You do get, I just noticed that, you get a catapult on top of one of the turrets, but you don't actually get a plane for it. I don't know if that's intended for balance, or I mean, I guess it must be. But it's a bit notably obvious that you've got this catapult that is just useless. All the turrets are also... Well, the front turret's facing forwards, obviously, but the rear turrets, 2, 3, and 4, they're always all facing backwards. So unlike the tier 4, where you've got at least half your turrets that can come round quickly, in this case it might be either 1 turret or 3 turrets that come round quickly. Let's see if I get massively focused, which occasionally happens. It doesn't happen that often when you're in test ships, but sometimes it does. Right, he's dodging, and the dispersion was bloody terrible, which is about what you'd expect. But I still managed to get one. Battlecruiser as laid down, but fantasy finished in a 30s refit style. There we go. Fu with the facts to lay on us. Right, that actually might be way too much lead. That's a Grafspey. Although actually no, that's all right. That's fine. And a citadel. Okay. Right, 6 people aiming at me at the moment. You do have to be... You very, very definitely get into the thought pattern of, well, I have to get closer so I can get the better accuracy, but that's not always actually a good idea. I may have put myself a bit too close at the moment. So I guess we're going to test how well it bow tanks. Because I've only got 1 forward turret available when I'm bow tanking. It's not really an ideal situation. Let's try the Bayern. You do, again, at least have the advantage of not a lot of superstructure. Yeah, this is a lot of their team. We have a lot of people guarding the channel, which is great. It's obviously what we need. Seems to be holding up reasonably well so far, though. Seriously, do we need this many ships, including the Tirpitz, to guard the channel? Apparently we do. Apparently we do. I think some of them are shooting the Kiwi as well.
Неполадки устранены. Пожарная тревога.
Right, one fire's not so bad. Let's get some forward gear going. What is going on with the teams? I don't know what to say. It's kind of hard to test ships when teams are doing wacky, silly things. Very wacky, silly things. I don't know what to make of this at all. It's not like we don't know where they are. It's not like we... No, they're all now going up the middle. I mean, sure, I guess. Ouch. What even was that? New mechs? Bayern? I think probably the new mechs. So, yeah. It can be citadeled. Maybe I should have just kept reversing around the corner. I don't know. Oh, who even knows what's happening in this game? What's the torque protection like? I don't know. Probably not good. Right, they've realised that we have a crap ton of ships going through the middle.
So be it.
Mr. J with the 15 months. Thank you very much. This is going to be one of those games when... And this is going to be the case a lot of the times in these ships. It's going to be difficult to get within effective gunnery range. Because if you just drive into a big blob of ships, you'll die. So you're left having to peck away in effective gunnery range. And there's not a lot of choice. So, yeah, I kind of like the concept, but I don't know if a line of highly situational battleships is necessarily a great thing. This blob is also... I don't know. I don't know. It's a team of blobs. We've got a blob going through the middle. The enemy blob's gone on the 10 line. I mean, I can sit bow on and have one turret available, or I can show a bit of broadside and risk taking another massive hit. What is going on with these teams? Well, how are the firing angles? They're better than the previous one. You can get, what's this, 2? No, that's only 1 turret actually. No, okay, this is more like the tier 4.
Your business
Yeah, actually, this
is
isn't that good.
appreciated.
This is definitely not that good. You have to show a lot of broadside to get your guns around. Well, that was a bit of angling and 2 turrets. You might have noticed the turret traverse hasn't been particularly great on any of these. Oh, yeah, no, we don't have the clearance. Well, that's me paying attention. So yeah, the manoeuvring will not keep up with your turrets at all.
I'm surrounded. surrounded by
I don't think this plan of everybody charging through the middle has worked out that well, because we still have all of these ships to deal with. Oh, A-Town with the host, or the raid. No, that was a host. Thank you very much. Just trying out the odd Soviet battleships and even odder teams. Yeah, I feel like this could be going better. And then you get shots like that because RNG just loves you. Occasionally. Oh, hello, Monarch. Yeah, I'm definitely know there's a Kagero coming up as well. Right, HE firing Monarch is actually not that big of a threat. I maybe didn't need to put that fire out, but I don't have oodles of hit points left. Because I've got the quicker cooldown, it's not that big of a deal. So preserving the hit points is actually more important than dealing with a DCP cooldown. I may have to go through the middle and leave this Queen Elizabeth to its fate. See if we can at least kill the Graf Spee. There we go.
Вражеский крейсер потоплен.
Ah, no, it's not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk. If I turn north, I put myself at severe risk of getting torpedoed, which would kill me. $70k damage though. I mean, we're doing better than the last 2 games combined, which is not that difficult under the circumstances. I'm surprised we haven't seen any Kagero torps yet. Anyway, out of heals. Where's the Kagero? Not actually trying for... Well, I've committed to going through the middle at this point. I could try and reverse. We have gotten comfortably far ahead on points, but it's not like we have a huge number of ships left.
Your business is appreciated.
Right, I mean, the Monarch's reasonably wounded. I think we'll actually turn the other way. Reverse bow tanking, I suppose. It's not a particularly manoeuvrable ship, though. It does leave you a bit vulnerable. Bear in mind, this is without the benefit of expert thingamy, the turret traverse skill, which I think would be useful on this line.
Наша команда близка к победе.
Oh God, maybe I should be going for that. Maybe I've called this completely wrong. And I should be trying to help out the Tirpitz. I guess now they've killed the Kagero. Although really we just need to like not lose too many more ships, and we've won. But there's still a good 5 minutes. It's not a pretty ship, especially. None of the Soviet battleships are what I'd call pretty, except maybe the Lenin. which has that whole Nelson vibe going on. To the point where I'm pretty damn sure everyone's just going to call it the Lenol. At least in my head I've been calling it the Lenol. Well, there we go. Tuppet's killed him. That was definitely better damage-wise, but I think I've just stopped playing especially well. In terms of my, you know, positioning. Deciding where to go. Still, it was good enough for 3rd place on the team and 70,000 damage. And somehow that push through the middle, insane though it was, actually worked. Do I have... No. Yeah, being bottom tier it didn't help super much, but I don't know. It's not always a bad thing to be bottom tier in a battleship, depending on the circumstances. These ones are also 14-inch guns, okay. Again, it's the range that kind of hampers it a bit, and that need to get closer. I think that's a thing that I'm still new to this line. That's the thing that players are going to have to get their head around, is that they do way better when they're closer, but it's not always good to get closer. That sometimes you're going to have to be extremely patient and hope that you get the circumstances where you can start to get within drive me closer, I want to hit them with my sword range. Right, so tier 7. There's Synop, or possibly Synop. And I think we might be going with, yeah, 16-inch guns. So this is a bigger battery at this point. But if they are... I've played one in this already. I can't remember if they especially felt like 16-inch guns. I know with the Lenin they didn't especially, except when you got the close range shots and you started smacking people around especially hard. Oh boy. Okay, very bottom tier. What is that? 3 tier 7s? 1 tier 8 and everyone else is a tier 9. Musashi especially could do me a nasty. Although all of them have big enough guns to overmatch the bow. It's a tier 7 battleship. You don't have the bow armor. Strangers with the host. The host with the most. Hello strangers, how was Clan Wars? I presume that you won all of the things. Right. Well, practice makes perfect and the rest of it. I don't know why I've got secondaries selected rather than... They're probably roughly about the same range. But AA is probably more useful to know than secondary range on any of these ships. You're never going to spec any of these ships for secondaries. You're just not going to. It would be such a waste of time. Right, I meant to disable the thing temporarily there. That wasn't me just fat fingering the keyboard or anything. So what's my main battery? 17.4. Not a huge upgrade. A bit more workable. I think the most notable improvement is that your AA range is actually now sort of decent. 6 kilometers. I don't think the AA power is necessarily much better. But you will now have a better chance of having planes in your AA aura for longer. And you also have a catapult that functions and isn't just, you know, a decorative catapult. HE firing Musashi, that's interesting. Yeah, the range isn't, it's not great. But I think by far the worst tier per tier for having a terrible range is the tier 4. Does the paper ship icon resemble a freighter? Oh, this, you mean? I mean, I guess it sort of does. The turrets aren't especially noticeable in the health bar icon. So I guess yeah, it could kind of look like a freighter. Freighter. Somebody said radar in the chat at exactly that moment, and so my brain went, say that instead! Well done, brain. That's just what we needed. Whoa, hello! Whose torps is that going to be? Yugamo? Fletcher? Don't know. But not super long range ones, fortunately. Right, this time you've at least got super firing forward turrets. A fair bit of awkwardness is going to come from the turret arrangement on these ships, for sure. Oh, that's a Mars. We should maybe shoot at that. So I can get a shot at my rear turret on that Iowa. That was slightly weird. I clicked and nothing happened. Well, we know the Mars is there. Information is valuable. Oh, broadside. I think we're just in the range where my guns start to be much more effective, but I guess we'll see. You can still get the lucky shots at longer ranges, but it's a lot less likely. I think this Missouri is just going way too hard. We're going to turn around here. This Missouri is just charging into their doom. There's no way they come out of that alive. This is a bit more comfortable to play in terms of turret traverse, at least. It's nearly keeping up with my... oh, it's Iowa firing at me. Nearly keeping up with my ship maneuverings. Okay, well, so much for our Missouri. I'm not entirely sure what that headlong charge was about, but we can see how well it paid off. Well, this is... okay, this is another... I guess we have to wait till Tier 8 before we get to the actual Soviet designs rather than... I mean, I suppose you can sort of tell by looking at it. It does have that Imperial Navy feel. Like, the Mars is a bit of a problem. The actual individual torps aren't that threatening, but enough of them would hurt me, you know, badly enough to be a problem. He's definitely still close enough to see me. Yeah, any Soviet battleship line was always going to have to be at least a bit fantasy. So it's not surprising that we have these kind of Bayern-esque fantasies based on ships that were, in some cases, you know, partly laid down but never actually finished. And then given the Wargaming Naval Bureau of Design polish, as it were. Still spotted. This Mars hasn't backed off, but I'm just basically at the moment trying to avoid giving this Mars an easy drop and work my way more towards the middle. These have 17 points. God, where does it say? 17.4. So as a rough rule of thumb, you're about a tier behind in terms of the range. Which is maybe even going to be more of a problem with the higher tiers than... I mean, the tier 4 was pretty bad, but just because you're going to be consistently outranged. There's never a point when you're not going to be consistently outranged. I'm not going to get my turrets around in time for that. I will check, but I think it might be only a fighter. Just have the range to try and hit that Eugen. Couple of hits. If the Mars pops up and like our Lexington eats a bunch of torpedoes, I would not be surprised. There's every chance this Mars has just gone along here and is hunting for our carrier. Not that it's making that much difference. We are getting absolutely creamed. And again, I'm struggling to get to a range where I can use my guns. Can't actually hit this Iowa back at the moment. I'm finally unspotted. I know there's a Fletcher ahead of us somewhere. That was a very good guess considering I was unspotted. Not a lot you can do about very good guesses. Oh, there he is. If I turn around, I can at least get my front turrets on him. Oof. I've done nothing. This game seems to have been over. No, okay. I only fired one turret. It was that lovely old... I don't even if you could call it a bug. That annoyance where sometimes if you queue up ammo, it will not fire both turrets even though they reload. Or they finish reloading at the same time. Ugh, just have to go forwards. Take the potential hits. Not a lot to do. I mean, I was very bottom tier. That didn't help. But I just had no chance to be effective. If I'd gone on the other flank, maybe? Although I suspect I might well still have been struggling for range. There's Fletcher Torps. Yep. Ah, well.
Противника получило преимущество. Команда противника близка к победе.
We'll wait for this to finish. We might as well take this one out again. Hope for better matchmaking. That could have gone better. Although, even if I had been better positioned, I think we might still potentially have lost that one. It's not like I didn't warn the Lexington about the mast repeatedly. But it didn't really do much good. What was I going to do? I was going to do something. And I've forgotten what it was. I had a thought. Oh, yes. We're going to check if you can get a spotter plane. That was it. I don't think you can. No, just a fighter. So you don't have the option of getting extra range. Yeah, the new matchmaking has been... like, it makes you realise... even just a partial improvement in World of Tanks matchmaking makes you realise how unpleasant it's been for a long time. So it only takes a little improvement to seem like a much bigger improvement than it really truly is. Right, here we go. Top tier. And a lot of cruisers and only one destroyer. So we might actually get to play this to its strengths in this game. I mean, I don't know what I might have done differently in the last game, except start off going to a different flank. I would have had more to shoot at, but I don't think it would have changed anything.
Бой начинается.
There's been a lot more +1 games, which has been pleasant. That's been quite nice. And a lot less getting totally shafted by matchmaking games. So I don't know if they've just removed templates entirely or if 357 is now much further down the priority list. I'm pretty sure it was +3. It was old scouts that used to be +4, but this is going way back. But a lot of tanks had their own. Like there were a lot of tanks that kind of fell into, you know, the +3, +4, whatever. But there were also a lot more tanks that had their own individual matchmaking weight, which is one of the things that they heavily standardized. Right, Colorado's got the most dangerous guns. And if I get to the correct sort of position, I might be able to tank them a bit. I don't know. We'll see. What else have we got? Ashitaka, Budion and Königsberg are also on this side. I should get spotted soon. None of these ships are especially stealthy. Oh, the old A20. That got shafted pretty hard by matchmaking. It had a couple of die-hard fans, but yeah. Everyone that had a choice went through the T50. I'm going to tuck in against this rock a bit more. Looks like their destroyer is in this cap, which is a hider. So I have to worry a little less about torpedoes. Right there. That's not bad. Right, we're at a sub 10 kilometer range for some of these things. Tactical beaching. Looks like it will blow a heel. Oh, and there's the hider. Who? Oh, please take a torpedo. That would be glorious. Yes. Yep, there we go. Nice.
Пожарная тревога.
Well, that's the torpedo threat out the way with. I wish the Ashitaka was a little bit closer, but you know, this is a ship that wants to get close. Because if you're not close, man, the guns suck. They really do. Right, we'll wait for another heel to come back. Try and take a pop at the Bartin. You'll notice some of these HE shells are simply shattering. So I don't know if they have IFHE or not, but the deck armor seems to be holding up relatively well. I think most of the damage has been HE. And like superstructure damage and fire damage rather than HE pens. Probably not great that I've had to blow 2 of my 4 heals already. That is absolutely one of the limiting factors. Much more so than most other battleships. I don't know whether Shiratsuyu bailed, but maybe the Grafspee popped a hydro. I don't know. Right, spotted. Let's go with Bartin. This is actually just out of range, as is the Congo. Which is kind of a pain. Definitely don't have to worry about the Congo's guns, though. You gonna cap little destroyer, buddy? I mean, we literally removed any possible threat of an enemy destroyer being able to do bad things to you. Oh, there's the Bartin. Yeah, he was spotting me. Anytime you want to not be hiding behind an island, Ashitaka, that'd be quite useful. I think we're going to have to get back, because the Ashitaka is taking none of this. They are literally hiding. They're sort of counting on them, at least, you know, even being in a position to shoot. But I don't think they are, especially right now. And these turrets really do feel like they could use expert marksman. Right, I don't think we're going to get a chance to properly use these guns in this game. I thought we might, but I suspect it's just going to be an effective long-range fire. I've blown through all my heals already. It's matches like this. I keep having matches like this that make me overall kind of unsure about how I feel about these ships. So there have been some fun moments, but overall, just the wild inconsistency doesn't particularly make for a great experience. I don't know what you're doing, Ashitaka. It's not helping. It's not helping. So I use my last heal. Right, we're actually now going to lose our one cap that we've got. This Ashitaka seems utterly unwilling to lose any hit points whatsoever. Right, he's just popped a speed boost, I think. I think this is worthier of a report. This is terrible. This is actively hurting our chances of winning. The some of them did. The higher tier, like the Lenin, was particularly notable in that it had like a 36-second turret traverse. I think the Vladivostok wasn't quite that good, but it was still. I think it was still sub, was it like 39, 40 seconds? I mean, bear in mind 45 is a fairly standard traverse rate. Now we're just gonna have to run away. I can't, like, this is the guy, this is the player I have to rely on. This is not going to work. Not with this Ashitaka. And I'm just stuck at these ineffective ranges. It's not even angling well. He's going to get smacked hard at some point. So, all this being precious about hit points is not even going to just instantly extinguish the first fire. Yep. I mean, that's about what I would expect, I suppose. If I could get closer, I could really smack these cruisers, but I can't. I now cannot afford to. Yeah, I know it's literally like the bad player report thing. It's just like, it's purely psychological. It's me venting without actually saying nasty things in chat. Because this is just bad. This is really very bad. I don't know if the Shan horse has necessarily been doing that much better. They look like they've been behind the line for a while as well, but they at least have a kill. Yep, that's how you do it. Reverse slowly in front of the enemy. This is so bad. This is a stereotypical Lerva player right here. Let's at least try and hit something where I've got a better chance of hitting, maybe. It is also lower health. You know, if we kill the Gneiser now, that's worth more than a cruiser. It seemed like it was going to be a lot of hits, but yeah, not so much. Well, it's just when you get players like this, it's literally, you know, it's a waste of a team slot. Sometimes you get players that maybe you can tell they're not the best players, but they're trying. This Ashitaka, not so much.
Вражеский линкор уничтожен.
I mean, it's not quite a free kill for the enemy team, but I don't know. I think it's pretty marginal between this and them being AFK in terms of effectiveness. The enemy, Bartan on the enemy team, I'm actually going to give them a compliment because they know what they're doing. They are not letting being bottom tier hold them back at all. Right, I think our Shan horse on this side has also just been unnecessarily hiding at various points. Considering how much health they have and how long they seem to be behind this island here. But at least they can drive their ship forwards. Which is more than Mr. Ashitaka can do.
Команда противника близка к победе.
Oh, that was one of our top tiers. Oh well. What are you gonna do? Oh, no, not turning that way. Okay, never mind.
Команда противника близка к победе.
I think it really just goes for any premium ship. You see bad players in... Well, you see bad players at all tiers, but I think it's more noticeable when it's a premium ship. Because you can then kind of just assume that, yeah, no, they just bought their way into it. After playing like 3 games. And then sometimes you actually look at their stats and realise, no, they've played hundreds of games. Or thousands. And they're still that bad. I can afford to maybe let 1 fire burn, but if I get a double fire, I'm just going to have to instantly extinguish it. Right, I don't think there's any hope of me reaching the middle, so we're just going to have to keep running. Bartan's been dodging like a boss, so I don't know that I fancy my chances at this range with these guns. I might get lucky, you never know. Oh, no, he turned in hard. Oh, still a Citadel. So there we go. RNG said yes.
Неполадки устранены.
Hello, Omaha? Cross our fingers and pray to RNGers. Citadel. I'll take it. Right, they've split up a little bit. I'm slightly worried we're going to lose that Budioni though. I'm not sure why they're pushing forwards. And the fact that Helena's... Alright, I'll turn round at this point. The Helena is here. And the Scharnhorst is still sitting on about half health. We really can't afford to lose any ships. Oh, 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 turrets, turrets! I think this is why the Barthound's turned away, actually. Oh, no, there he is. Right, that puts us ahead. Don't know if the Helena's got the range for this bar tower. There we go. That cements the lead nicely. I think we've got this. Yeah, this bar tower is playing really well for being bottom tier. Nope, sped up again. He's really playing with his speed well. It's actually making it very difficult to judge. But in the end, we won. 77,000. That's okay. I've had one or two games over 100k, but it's getting just that right set of circumstances where you can get close enough for that magic dispersion to really kick in. And the rest of the time, they're just kind of meh. Right, tier 8, we're getting there.
Jedi.
Rail in with the sub 7 months. I'll have to take a very short bathroom break, I think. And this is probably a good time to do it. Oh, flags on that, yes. So, yeah, let's... I'll take a very quick break then. I won't be very long. And I will be back in just a second. Right, we're back. Vladivostok. Now this one, I have got fitted the gun accuracy upgrade. So I will see if that particularly makes a difference at the longer ranges, but I don't think it will. The Twitch containers they do seem to drop at random. I think you can get 2 or 3 a day. I think it's 3 a day. If you got them all 3 at once, then yeah, that is a bit random. Some days I get them even when I haven't actually watched any Warships streams that day. I just appear to randomly get them because... Ooh, tier 10. Okay. Well, I guess we'll see how we do. I think like that previous game, this entire line, especially at the higher tiers when the cruiser ranges are getting better and better, they're going to be very vulnerable to kiting cruisers. And it's going to be less the HE damage than the longer term effect of fires. Just because you have the limited number of heals. The more limited number of heals and the limited number of damage control parties. Boom Funk with the host. Thank you very much. 47 viewers. And Clyde. I guess you guys were playing together. So, yep. The surrounded by assholes thing is very appropriate for Clyde and Boom. Wow, that was rude. So rude. Also, yeah, Clyde, I know. I'm actually streaming. I'm confused myself. It's when I looked at the last time I'd streamed on my dashboard and realised it had been over a month already. I thought, maybe I probably should, given that I've not managed to get much done in the way of video stuff this week. It has been a particularly unproductive week, unfortunately. I don't know how we're going to do in a tier 10 game because it's going to make approaching to the ranges where this wants to be at very, very difficult until perhaps the very late game. So I'm going to have to force myself to be cautious. Because if I get too close too early, I'm going to just burn all my hit points like I did in that previous game. Hey, Bolt! This has 18 kilometers exactly. Which again is on the shorter side for the tier. They always are. And it's not like they've combined it with particular stealth. 12.2 is not bad, though. With the concealment module. Right, are you... I don't think he's going full speed, or is he... I can't tell if he's slowing or not. I think he might have been slowing. Which has just thrown off all my shells. They've also, you'll have noticed, I mean, I mentioned this at the start, but they've also, none of them particularly got, they've all got longer reloads for the calibers than what you'd be used to, for the most part. That was actually a little bit much lead, if anything. Again, I think this is 16-inch guns. Same kind of setup as last time. Why would you try and drop on a Des Moines who's taken no damage whatsoever?
Jedi.
Isham with the resub, 17 months. Thank you very much. Right, that wasn't a bad hit. That Zhao might be a problem. I'm not entirely sure why the Jean Bart's pushed out like that, but it would be very rude not to take advantage of it. I think against battleships, I think it's not just the dispersion, but your penetration seems to drop off fairly sharply as well. So against battleships, longer range citadels, it's been very uncommon, if not outright, just hasn't happened at all. Don't know if I've been paying enough attention to say that definitively or not, but I think the only longer range citadel shots I have had have all exclusively been destroyers. Oh. Oh, minnow! Oh! Oh! Plus don't accelerate out. Oh, I accelerated out of the way. Rat bag. I think I can make this turn before the Kurfürst can get a reload though. Keep tabs on that Moskva as well, that could be a pain. If they have nerfed the turret traverse on all of them, it'll be a little bit sad, but I don't know, maybe they'll buff it again slightly. It's one of these things where you could easily, like, you would never need expert marksman. But if you had expert marksman, it would be a bit too silly. Oh, that was a good solid hit. I'm very much just exercising caution at the moment. Oh, Moskva, are you can move? Maybe? Maybe making a move? Maybe? Let's just keep hitting. Big fat full of hit points German battleships. Okay! Okay! I'll take it! 20,000. 6 full penetrations. Alrighty then. It's a good thing there aren't lots of destroyers around, because hanging around stationary like this is a very risky thing to do otherwise. Are you having a peak Moskva? I think you might be. Don't know if I can have a good enough angle to get my front turrets round, but my rear turret might be able to do the business. They do all of them have comparatively small superstructures. That helps their overall survivability. And I think it might have been one of the cues of the designs generally that... Okay, I'm just getting all the good RNG all at once, it would seem. It might be one of the things that informed their choices in terms of what they wanted the playstyle to be. I don't know. Lots of mediocre games and then suddenly all of the RNG streamer hacks are happening at once. Right, we'll take the fully broadside Kurfürst over the turning lion. Jean Bart's peeking again, though. There's the Zhao. Well, he actually slowed down, but still ate another 14,000, so that's all right then. I am helped out a lot by the fact that this is a relatively target-rich environment, so I'm not just, unlike the previous game with that very helpful Ashitaka, I am not being the sole focus of a lot of ships. There are a lot more spread around. Oh, hello, that's some torpedoes. We might want to speed up a little bit there, maybe. And another 12k. Oh, never mind, they ran out. That's alright. Yeah, this GK is in all kinds of trouble. But it's fine, it's a German battleship, so therefore you can just sail along broadside all day long and nothing bad will ever happen to you. It's well known. I think I'm going to get another shot. Might live to heal again. Already at over 104,000 damage. I don't know what to say. It's a little bit silly. This ship will not be like this most of the time, just because it will not perform like this at these medium ranges most of the time. Although we're getting towards the closer ranges with the Lion. Oh, there goes the GK. I don't know how I haven't massively goofed by turning. I'm sort of counting all those torps running out of range. Yeah, there we go. I definitely knew that was going to happen. And it wasn't just me kind of hoping it would happen. Right, we've knocked the meat out of their sandwich. I don't know where I was going with that metaphor, but anyway. Knackered a big part of their firepower and hit points on this side. Oh, he slowed right down. This might be the stage where we can get a little more aggressive, although there is still a Shimakaze around that we can't really forget about. Some of these shots, though, have been ridiculous, considering the nature of the ship. More than a little ridiculous. Right, we've got a lot of hit points left. We haven't actually used any heals yet, so I think we can afford to be a little more aggressive at this stage. Moscow's backing off. It's not worth taking that shot. I'm guessing the minnow is out of range of the DM radar, or maybe the DM has just not got one available right now. Let's see how well my armor stands up to Minotaur AP. Surprisingly well, I think.
Your business is appreciated.
They've only got that limited amount of superstructure to try and hit. Oh, there goes the Jean Bart. Oh, yeah, I kind of thought there might be some torps coming from, but I thought they might be coming through the gap. We could do with... Is that Moskva? No, they are still actually in the... Okay. Oh! Oh! Oh, I might be having a moment. Oh, Minho. Oh, you're so close. Oh, no. Nope. Sadly, nope. Somebody else got to have a moment in their pants instead. Let's assume that they were dropping torpedoes, though. And turn hard in. Right, Moskva, it would be surely a very useful thing if you were over here at the moment. Because, you know, Shima. Although we are winning this fairly hard at this stage. It would just be nice to do a little more damage. This is easily the best damage game of the stream so far, though. Courtesy of all that ridiculous early RNG. Well, shot the island. That will show it. I don't know. I'm sure I could maybe have spotted that was not going to be successful if I'd actually been properly looking. Right, is this sound going forwards or reversing? It's actually kind of hard to tell. No, they're just not moving very fast.
Торпеды прямо по курсу.
And there's the torps.
Торпеды прямо по курсу. Торпеды по правому борту.
I almost could have done with losing more health at this stage just so I could have a better effect from adrenaline rush. Hello, Moskva! Plus, there's still a Shima to watch out for, but I probably pushed him way too hard at this point.
Главного калибра выведены из строя.
On the other hand, I want to shoot stuff, and we've won. We actually have won. Never mind. I kind of wish we'd had more time. I might have died, but I'd have got to do more damage. Hey, Hoyle. Yes, that's it. I was putting it through its paces. Yeah, I don't think this is a representative game for the Vladivostok at all. We had some ridiculously lucky shots early on. Right, no, that's not what I wanted. Assign to Sovietsky Soyuz. No, come on, UI. Stop dicking with me. There we go. Right, this one we will need to set up. Let's see what kind of range we've got. 19.4, which is perfectly acceptable. You are absolutely going to want Superintendent on all your Soviet battleship captains unless they bump it up to be in line with other battleships. Because you get 2. 3 with a premium, 4 with Superintendent, whereas of course other battleships you can get 5. And unlike, say, the Nelson, it's not a super heal. So, we are going to want... no. My reflexes are still geared towards the ship parameters list being where it used to be. I really don't know why they made that change. Right, 30 seconds turret traverse is what I wanted to see. Also, actually, we might as well take a quick look at the armor. 40mm deck. I think the Vladivostok is exactly the same. Yeah, 40mm deck. So the central deck portion is actually a lot more resistant to HE spam. The Lenin was 45mm. That was incredibly resistant. Standard 32mm bow, though. I think there's nothing particularly special there. Right, so modules. Yes, we were outfitting. And I think we want the one that gives us the faster reload, because 30 seconds turret traverse we can easily live with. Damage con 2. And let's stick with the aiming systems. Let's see how we do with that. That might have been one of the things that helped me out in that previous game with the Vladivostok. It might have been having the aiming systems. And that I would not have managed the same amount. I haven't actually been looking at the perma camos for any of these, but some of them are not bad. I haven't seen this one yet, though. The UI will actually... There we go. Eh, not that exciting. That's actually rather reminiscent of some of the Japanese ones, I think. Obviously, the colouring's a bit different, though. Sadly, they don't give us the perma camos on a, on the test ships to show off for people. You'd think they would. I have suggested this to Wargaming that, you know, we're going to be showing these things off, we're going to be previewing them, we're going to be doing videos. Why not also give us the perma camos to showcase those as well? But for some reason they don't want to. I don't know. Unless it's a technical limitation. Unless giving us the perma camo for this would then essentially just give us a free perma camo for the regular ship. Once the line actually appears for real. Who knows? I think we're just about there. I might as well take a flooding flag on this one as well. That takes us to 8 out of 8. And I got my community contributor flag, which is terribly important. So we've got equipment, we've got consumables, we've got flags, we've got camo. So I think we are good to go. We'll be around 36-ish seconds, I think. 37 seconds turret traverse, something like that. But our reload should be sub 30 seconds. I think the base is 32 seconds, 33 seconds, something like that. Hey Elzu! You're actually joining us towards the end of this stream. We're on the second last ship of the line. Right, top tier. And it's Domination 2 Brothers, so it's not the slightly more painful experience of a standard game. We'll have to watch out for that Asashio, however. The Tashkent might also be a problem. I guess we'll see. Take it down the central channel. That would end up being a very short match indeed. If it was the kind of ship that you could buff for secondaries, maybe. But although they are relatively tanky, if you give broadside you are going to get citadeled, so I don't know if it would be entirely a sensible thing to do. Right, rather than have both our tier 9s be on this flank, I'm actually going to go over to the other side. It looks like the Nagato's coming over here anyway.
Your business is appreciated.
The destroyers are splitting evenly, so yeah, let's head over to the ACAP. I'm at least trying to be semi-sensible and get a feel for what these ships can do. Driving down the central passage on Two Brothers is in no way, shape or form sensible. Right, hopefully we won't run into this Nagato. I'm a little bit faster. Little bit. We should pull past them in time, I'm hoping. I haven't tested out the horns on any of these yet. Sadly, it doesn't blare out the opening bars of the Soviet national anthem. I think it's just more or less regular battleship horns. Yeah, it's a significant upgrade, even with the equipment that gives me a longer turret traverse. This is still fairly whippy. This is still not bad at all. If you wanted the super quick base turret traverse, hell, I mean, you could even take a longer main gun battery reload to get a sub 30-second turret traverse, although it would only shave a couple of seconds off. Which would be quite useful under certain limited circumstances, but most of the time you would rather have the extra rate of fire. But it's still, even with the extra rate of fire, it's still a fast turret traverse. I don't think there's anything else at this tier that really comes that close. Nobody's particularly in range yet. There's the Tashkent. God. We'll take a pop at them. This is almost certainly not going to even go anywhere close. But you never know. Oh, well, 2 over pens. Better than nothing. I did have 1 or 2 occasions in the Lenin, which I think I mentioned that already. It's like a 36 seconds base where the turret traverse can be very useful with, especially destroyers trying to jump you at closer ranges when the accuracy actually counts for something. At longer ranges, it's really not going to help you that much because you're going to struggle to hit them. But we're getting a bit closer now. And I think I've gotten a bit better of a feel, having played through the tiers, for the velocity of these 16-inch guns. Oof. Well, you know, if we get lucky, we might actually then finish off this Ibuki. No. 1 over pen. That's a no. That's a no. Thank you for the follow, by the way, whoever that was. Right, the Musashi is almost certainly... Oh, double Musashis. I mean, they're giving lots of broadside, but at this range, I don't think I can particularly take advantage of that. I mean, okay. Again, I might be falling into the trap of drive me close or I want to hit them with my sword. That was a solid hit. Try and hit that Cleveland. It's more of a priority. What's my surface? 13.1. Actually a bit worse than the previous tier, but still not too bad. I could have used a little bit more lead, but that was not awful. Right, one of those Musashis is maybe a little bit close. I don't want to maneuver around and give a broadside, particularly at this range. Oh, so close! So close. Maximum AR buff on that Cleveland. Right, the Colorado's backing off. Let's shift our attention to the Musashi. We're going to have to try for superstructure hits at this angle. Still though, we've made that Cleveland maybe a little more cautious. It's not particularly close. Might be worth blowing a heel. Shows a little more broadside. Might be able to do something. I don't know. I mean, if this was just me and the 2 Musashis, I'd be pretty worried, but I think we have enough forces here to overwhelm them. I'm actually going to start going forwards again. Right, ordinarily this would be like nom 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 nom. But with these guns, I just don't know. Nope. Not really even close. I've got to be careful about pushing out too far though, because I'll expose myself to a crossfire from the Colorado. Those guns could still hurt me. Well, let's have a pop at the broadside, Musashi. We can maybe angle a bit for the rear turret on that guy. There we go. Citadel. It's possible. Well, that's probably the Colorado, but it might be one of the Musashis. No, yeah, it's the Colorado that was. I'm looking for the Kronstadt at the moment. No, I see you, Colorado. Or is it the Colorado? Actually, it might be the Asashio. The Asashio was last spotted coming over this way. We're going to have to be very careful. Oh, we won. Okay. The games have been very strange this evening. Very strange. I don't feel like we've gotten a proper run-in on most of these ships. We didn't lose anybody. Deribuki had a team kill. I think we'll do this one again. It's hard to get a feel for ships. When I mean, granted I'm playing 1 or 2 games in most of these at the moment, but when the teams are very, you know, doing very strange things, it's kind of hard to tell what the ships are good and bad at. Yeah, that was, yeah. I don't know what to say. Right, tier 10 game. Carrier. Lots of divisions. Fewer destroyers, more battleships, so we'll see how this goes. I might get a better chance for an earlier close range engagement on this map. I guess we'll see how it works out. I wasn't planning on streaming this long. It's just taken this long to get through them. After this one, I think regardless of how it goes, we'll go for the Kremlin. If nothing else, I can tell I'm out of practice at the streaming malarkey because my voice is starting to go just a little bit. Or rather, my throat is. Alright, the Jean-Bart is awake. That's good. Izumo Musashi Ko first. Buffalo. Be interesting to see if any of their destroyers are on this side, but I would guess there would be at least one. Z46, there it is.
Your business is appreciated.
Thump Harder, thank you for the follow. Was actually quick enough to notice the name that time. There you go, aren't you special? You turning? No, I thought you were. It's definitely noticeable being able to mount the reload thingy, equipment, module, whatever you want to call it. Having that faster reload. Oh, hello, Salem. to want to shoot that.
Пожарная тревога.
And, oh, that's a bunch of torps. Right, if we turn in, we might be able to do some torpedo beats, and we definitely want to hang on to our damage control.
Торпеды прямо по курсу.
No, that was disappointing. Oh, I'm trying to get this gap. I think I've misjudged it. Oh, this might be ugly. Oh, this might be ugly. Oh, just the one. That could have been worse.
Быстро набираем воду.
Completely misjudged that.
Неполадки устранены.
They have a lot of ships that have come over to this flank. We might have to beat a retreat. This is basically their team. Oh, Shikaku, why are you here? Well, R.I.P. Shikaku. That's an interesting choice. I think we've lost our carrier already. Yeah, this is their team. There's like 2 ships on the other side, and this is their team. We're about to use the Minotaur's torpedoes. Maybe?
Торпеды справа по борту.
Solid 10k hit. Hey, Jean-Bart! I kind of need to wiggle past. Oh! It's fine! It's not fine! Oh my god, this is all going so very wrong.
Набираем воду. Неполадки устранены.
So very, very wrong. Run away! I think that might be the only thing that's sensibly left to do at this point. Why was that carrier there? I don't know. It was a lovely free carrier kill for the enemy team. Oh god. Okay, so the rear armor, not quite as tough as the bow armor, as it turns out. What? I don't know what's going on today. What is with these teams? What's going on? It's all so strange and surreal and bizarre. I'm not going to last too much longer, but that's fine. We can go and play the Kremlin that much sooner. Right, I should probably just try and get unspotted at this point. Why is most of their team, 3/4 of their team, just zerged to this flank? I don't know. I don't know, but they have, and it's all very strange. Oh, there's the Izumo. Unfortunately for me, missed. Be great if your turret traverse would speed up with adrenaline rush. Quite a useful thing to have sometimes. As the turrets have come round, not especially doing well on the other side, it seems like. So we'll get the full broadside out on that Izumo. Eh. Right, My main problem is most things are out of range at this point. Yeah, I don't think this is going well somehow. I mean, having lost our carrier is a massive blow. Even in just terms of spotting capability. We're not particularly winning the other flank. We're getting hammered on this side. That Kurfürst is going down sooner rather than later. I wonder if the Izumo is going to come and try and go down here. It's a possibility, I suppose. Is that De Grosser? Oh, also we have a Friedrich De Grosser who's AFK, so that's good. We are also just straight up down a ship. It's not really helping us much. Surprised our GK is still alive. Probably not for too much. Yeah, there we go.
Команда противника получила преимущество.
Okay, I don't know. Answers on the back of a postcard. What could I have done differently in this one? I'm sort of struggling to think of anything I might have usefully done differently in terms of positioning or whatever. I think he sped up a little. I mean, good grief, this has just been ridiculous. I don't know what to say. Right, I think we'll make a turn here. His turrets are going to take a while to come round. Hey, you at least got to see how fast the turrets traverse. This is the total opposite of the last game. Where... Oh. Double stitched up. Very nice. Where we didn't lose any... I'll take it. Where we didn't lose any ships. This time, then, that's the first ship they've lost. This is how hard we're getting hammered. And also they get a free kill because we have an AFK tier 9. So that's good. Might get a shot on De Grosser. Let's see if we can angle for that. I'm probably quite vulnerable to the carrier coming and having a go at me at this point if they chose to. But then we get to see how the AA does, I suppose. Right, let's try and help out with this line. Oh no, the carrier is just farming hit points on the AFK ship. You know what? I'll take it. That's okay by me if they want to do that. I have been very brave Sir Robin in this game, haven't I? Just retreating as hard as I possibly could. It's not like some help isn't also required on this flank. And we've also topped out with those shots in the Izumo, 100,000 again. So with patience, these guns can work at longer ranges with a couple of lucky shots helping out immensely, of course. We really could have used this Grosser Kurfürst. Oh well. I know it's not the best ship. But, you know, someone's actually playing versus somebody who isn't. There's not much contest. Right, still spotted by probably the lion. See if I get unspotted or if the Jutland... No. There he is. Yeah, the old score is a problem. I can't really do much about that without spotting, though. Let's see if we can hit this. Jutland torps. He sets a fire just after yeah, we go, I'm dead. Even with the shorter cooldown, I don't think I'm going to get a chance to put that out.
So be it.
Opahik with the resub, thank you very much. Oof. That bounce was very oof. Right, I'm fully aware I'm dead at this point. I'm just trying to get my rear turret around. Might even get the main turrets going again. Actually, let's try for the sailor. Will I die to the carrier? Will I die to the Kerr first? Place your bets. And it was the Kerr first. There we go. What was this game? What was this game? I don't know. So far, my main conclusion from playing Soviet battleships is, who are these people? Why are they playing this game? What's going on? It's so derpy. Anyway. Sovietsky's Soyuz... Oh, we actually need to wait for that to come back. But yeah, it seems alright. You've gotten to the point where it's a bit tankier. And the range is a bit better for the tier. I don't think that game's going to take too much longer. World of Potatoes. It does feel like that sometimes. I pressed the battle button. That's what I did wrong. I think you're right there. Gansk. Or however one says that. Oh, I've got to have another... What's this? Oh god, this is... Okay, this is why I was using the 11-point captain, because my other captain I could use is this guy. I do have a Vetchkin, but I don't know. I suppose I've got the free respecs at the moment. Let's just use a Vetchkin. He's not even technically a Soviet commander, but... Oh wait, no, there we go. I was going to check this earlier and I forgot. Yeah, okay, so the super special test commanders are in fact back. I think they definitely took them away at some point, but I clearly hadn't checked to see if they were actually back. I could have been using a 19-point captain all along. But I was doing it on purpose, you guys. I was just testing to see what the ships perform like with the mid-range captain. Yep. That's my excuse. 100% legit. That's what was going on. Anyway, so 18-inch guns. Slightly longer turret traverse, but 35 seconds is still pretty damn good. I mean, it's very appropriate for me that we get to literally the last ship in the line before I notice a thing like that. I mean, also it's kind of fitting. People are much more likely to have a 19 or just a high tier, a high point captain in their high tier ships. So it sort of makes sense. I think we'll go for fire prevention. And what else? Basics of survivability. I think that one actually might be quite important. It gives us 2 points left. High alert, not actually that useful. Jack of all trades, perhaps. We could get a tiny little buff on the gun traverse. Did I put on? Was this also 30 seconds? And I've put on the. Yes, it was. So we could actually rebuff that debuff, as it were, with expert marksman. There's a good argument to be made for jack of all trades as well, especially if you combine it with the right flag. But let's try expert marksman. Try and keep that turret traverse nice and tight. Right, what flags have we got? We could put on a few more. Because we might as well. And let's have Juliet Yankee Bissau 2. And I think we're good to go. Yeah, I was thinking that's something that's missing from the tier 10. Tier 10 doesn't have a catapult, apparently. Well, not apparently, it doesn't have a catapult, so you're back to just damage control and a heal. Right. Oh, I am so professional. I am the most professional. This is why people watch me, is just for the unparalleled level of professionalism. In the immortal words of Spinal Tap, I am none more professional. Or something along those lines. It doesn't quite work, but you know what I mean. Not a lot of destroyers. The Zhao is probably the only cruiser that would cause me significant problems. And no Yamato significantly. So this looks like a pretty reasonable matchup. I can't believe I didn't check for that. I should have done that, you know, before I started streaming. It just didn't occur to me that the 19-point captains might be back. The special test captains. Anyway. I'm sure it was plastered all over the Discord as an explanation. Because I did see something about them removing the captains because there was duplication issues, but I clearly missed the bit where it said they'd put them back again. So this is a fairly big ship. Again, triple barrels. I think your angles are not bad. Although that's not necessarily great. It's about a 45-degree angle to get all turrets on. The AA armament is a lot more convincing. That's something that does improve a lot when you get to the higher tiers. Oh! Ouch! I don't know who should be more insulted by that, me or Rita. Jerry. Oh, that burn. Oh. Right, stream over, you guys. I'm ending it now. I need to go to accident and emergency to get treated for, you know, that horrific burn I've just sustained. Anyway. Let's see if we can actually get a bit properly closer in this one. We might have a decent chance. The trick is getting closer to enemies without getting closer to too many enemies at once, which is generally fatal. You have to have an enemy team that is sufficiently cooperating for that to happen, which is certainly not going to always happen. Right, a tad over 20 kilometers on the range. In fact, a tad under 21 kilometers, which is not bad. I actually put up with a shorter range than that on my Grosser Kurfürst. Looks like they're committing heavily to the south. What destroys did they have again? Shima and Harugumo. Let's see how these 18-inch guns behave. He's turning away. 2-0 damage pens. Okay. Good chance to put the AA to the test as well, I suppose. It's not just my AA. Oh, that North Carolina's rather close. Oh, decent hit was out. I'll take it. So I have to destroy it in A and destroy it in C, so I am safe to just slam on the brakes at this point. That's fine. Oh, it's not even a destroyer. There's the Harugumo. Harugumo. However one says that. Oh, okay. That Massachusetts is actually not a good angle for me. I don't think you can get the LOL overmatches of the Yamato. I don't think they're quite big enough. Right, unspotted. I'm just trying to reverse into a better angle, essentially. Is that Stalingrad? No, they are actually in the game. Okay. And spotted. That was decent. That was very decent. We could do with capping the middle, but I don't think the Shima's necessarily in a good position to do that. I want to back off a bit and then start heading down this way. Put some firepower into the A cap. But chewing on this Massachusetts is a good start. North Carolina is running all the way away. Oh, hello, Chapayev. You're reasonably low health. Come on, RNGesus. There we go.
Вражеский крейсер уничтожен.
The armor seems reasonably tough so far. Definitely keeping tabs on that Massachusetts. I want to give them something to chew on a bit, basically, so the Hindi gets a bit of cover and also it pulls some focus from the B cap. Because we could do with a cap quite badly. $11K, not bad. There's the Montana. Pop a heal at this point. Ooh, Kutuzov, he's a bit tempting. And we know they don't have a destroyer down here, so I can actually get more up under the cover of the island before I start to make a turn. I don't want to turn broadside and give the Montana nice easy shots. Ooh, double fire. worth putting that out. I think we will take the risk. Look at this out. Ooh. A lot of overpens. But oh well. I don't know how many people watched the naval rework mod video I did for Hearts of Iron Man the Guns, but that has the biggest possible battleship guns you can mount in that mod is 510mm, which is quite fun. And it's kind of cool to know that actually that's the mod authors taken that off the you know, an actual thing. It's not just they've made up that caliber. Right, no citadels, but I am chunking reasonably large chunks out of this Zao. Probably want my AA on the other side, don't I? I'm not sure Bow 1 will save you against these guns, but I don't know. Maybe it will. No, we'll let that burn. Right, you're now reversing. Oh, ouch. Okay, let's keep trying to lose a turret. That would be pretty damn bad. This would ordinarily be a bit of a costly maneuver, but because I've got such a fast turret traverse, it isn't necessarily that bad. I've taken enough of that Zao's health to make them cautious. They'll be able to repair a bit of it, of course. Right, we should get the turrets around in time if the Miss Montana pushes into the open. This lack of a second cap is hurting us quite badly, though. We're a bit squashed in between the ends of the map. The armor's holding up really well, though. This is nearly 2 million potential. I've used 2 heals. Still got a pretty decent amount of health left. Oh, he's turning away. Those will probably miss. I think we're far enough away we can start to turn back in again. And be unspotted. Yeah, I don't think we're going to win this one. But it gives you some idea of what the Kreml can do. Again, this is not really the fights you want. You want to get close up. But if I try and get close up with that blob, I'm going to die very quickly. So, you really do need the enemy team to give you the right set of circumstances. And they're being very unsporting and not doing it. But we're still getting some decent damage, even so. It's just we're also losing lots of team members. Right, the Republic's just going to chunter forward, so let's return. I don't want to be caught broadside by that. Stationary. Yeah, he slammed on the brakes. Right, 10k, that'll do. God, that would actually be quite a good, like, if they did that as an April Fool's Tillman Battleships. It would be better than space battles yet again. So we can't put down this Republic. If I get lucky here, I might just take the risk and bring my front turrets around. Yeah. The Montana's not aiming at me at the moment. With the firepower. Nope. This isn't even particularly long range. Right, if he dies, I might get a chance to swing around and maybe try and tackle this Montana a bit closer. Bit more head on.
Линкор врага потоплен.
Although, oh, actually, we also have problems to the north as well. We just have problems everywhere at the moment. That Hindi is actually higher priority. Yeah. Buy us a tiny bit of extra time. Not a lot. Yeah, our map control was non-existent. Oh well. Yeah, it's reasonably maneuverable. I think of all the line, I probably like this one the most. Which is unusual for me. I'm normally a bit lukewarm on the tier 10 battleships. Tier 7, tier 8 tends to be around where I enjoy myself the most with most battleship lines. Some of the tier 9s are pretty good as well, but most of the tier 10s, I can take or leave, but I'm kind of enjoying this one. So, actually, let's take a quick look at the scores. 130k, that's nothing special, but it's still pretty decent. If we'd been able to get a bit closer, we could have dished out more. Interestingly, it was actually the enemy Massachusetts that was top of their team. And our Implacable clearly was doing something right. Not sure about this Iowa, though. Anyway. So, yeah, it's actually been rather longer a stream than I thought it would be, but I did go all the way through from tier 3 to tier 10, so if you missed any of it, I will put the VOD up on YouTube. Well, it probably won't be tomorrow at this rate, because it would be going up at like midnight tomorrow, so probably the day after. But yeah, you'll be able to go and take a look at any ships that you are particularly interested in on the line. So that's it for this stream. I will find you somebody to host if you give me a second. But otherwise, I am just about done for the evening. So who is playing? Who's playing the boaty boats? We'll be into the NA streamers at this point, I think. Majash? Do I recognise anybody else? Do I just want to drop you on a random person? No, let's drop you on Majash. Why not? So, thank you all for tuning in. I will try not to leave it a month and a bit next time, but you never know. It might be, knowing me. But hopefully you have enjoyed this stream. As I said, you can find, you will be able to find it on YouTube as well in a day or two. And in the meantime, have a good evening wherever you are, and I hope to see you next time.